instead. But he graduated from Clemson. So, I mean, all you South Carolina fans and Alabama fans can appreciate that. But he got a civil engineering degree, and he began his professional job after he graduated in '79. And he started up a general contractor business and a real estate developer in Texas, and that's where he met Nancy. He did a lot of work for the military as a military contractor, and later became very successful, one of the largest developers of commercial apartments, multifamily, and so forth. He and Nancy have been married for 35 years. They have 5 sons, like I said. A couple of them are here this morning. You guys right here? Right. We've had the benefit of having them here at the church as interns, and the blessing of that. But they moved here back in 2013 with Jackson, and the other 2 sons, Ben and Tyler, they followed them in here in Florida. Like a lot of people have that happen to them. Family comes and follows you once you've taken the first step. But they've been members of Crosswater ever since they moved to Ponte Vedra. To let you know that Tommy's been very involved with Crosswater. He's been involved with other churches also in various different positions, but he's been very involved with Crosswater. He's been with them for Christ leadership for the past number of years. Well, we did allow him to take a sabbatical, and he'll tell you a little bit about that mission trip he took in just a minute. But we allowed him to take a year off as a sabbatical for a while. He was with Bob and the gang when they first started up New for Christ. So he traced his roots all the way back to then. He also has run, he's been on the Tuesday night Bible study, leading that on Tuesday nights that we have. But he and Harry Yee, John Messenger, George Cassell, Dennis Bernard, Bob Parr, and here lately Jim Gardner, Mark Zune, and Dave Pasella. They all helped me in the last couple of years with Men for Christ leadership. And for that I give them very much heartfelt thank you, each and every one of you. But what you're going to hear today is how the Lord has been working in Tommy's life for longer than Tommy understands. We all acknowledge the fact that the Lord works in our lives, but sometimes it'd be nice to put an exclamation point there in the statement that we have. So with that, would you please welcome Tommy Hammond.
I guess this is on. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Please bear with me. I'm nervous. I don't know why. I know a lot of you, but it's funny too. I woke up this morning and my wife knew I was nervous, and she told me that I just needed to think of all of y'all as naked. And then Bob Parr comes up to me and tells me I need to think of Jack in his underwear. Well, I don't know what's going on with that, but I cannot have that mental image while I'm up here. So, I want to thank y'all for letting me speak to you today. The Lord has worked wonders in my life, really for years, but over the last year it's been an amazing journey. And most of you know that journey, but I'm not going to go into great detail about what got me to where I went, because it would take us forever. We'd be up here for hours. But if any of you ever want to talk about what happened to me, I'm happy to talk to you about it and go to lunch or something. But yes, I'm a lifelong builder, realtor, and developer, and I am a Clemson grad. And I love that saying from Alabama about roll tide, because we sure rolled the tide this year. Where's Jack? Okay. I married my sweet wife in 1984. I had graduated Clemson, started a company, met her at a progressive dinner at First Baptist Church, and she's the most patient, loving woman I've ever known. And we raised 5 marvelous sons. My oldest is an athletic director and basketball coach in Missouri. My second is Daniel, is an attorney in Houston. My third one, Ben, he's in the booth back there, and he helps with the youth here, and he's a manager out of World Golf Village. My third one, Tyler, if you are at an event or a concert or anything here, you're probably going to see him on the spotlight or doing the sound or rigging the stage or doing something. Plus, he's an actor, a very, very brilliant actor. And then we all know Jackson, my youngest. We actually let him make the decision to move here and with his mother, because I was commuting in 2012 and we moved here in 2013. He's now a ministry student at Palm Beach Atlantic. He's going to seminary, and he's a pastor of First Baptist Church in Montana. After I got married, I got so focused on business. I was still going to church, and I was an ordained deacon in the church. I was singing in the choir. I was teaching Sunday school. I was doing all these things, and I did have the Lord in my life, and I loved the Lord. But I don't think I ever really understood what a personal relationship with Christ was about, because I went for many more years pursuing other things. Business consumed me, and I became very, very successful as a contractor. I became one of the largest luxury home builders in north central Texas for 2 decades, and it was a side business. It wasn't even my main business. And then I merged with another company, and we were the largest apartment builder, second largest apartment builder in the Midwest for quite a while, building large apartment complexes. Then fast forward to 2008, the crash. Everybody's heard about it. Well, for me, it was horrible. I had gotten over-leveraged for the first time in my life, had 11 hotels under construction. The banks came in and said they were pulling the loan commitments. I was losing millions of dollars. Suffice it to say, that crash accelerated my wanting to save my company and save my employees. So I got hooked up with some guys that came to me as Christian men that were developers like myself, and they had alternative ways to finance. They had ways to get $400 million worth of projects financed. And so, lo and behold, just suffice to say, I got hooked up with them, and they turned out not to be good men. They turned out to be con artists and thieves, and it took me a long time to realize that. And so I lost millions of dollars, but worse, some of my friends and partners lost millions of dollars. And even though what I want to tell you about what I did and what I didn't do wasn't criminal, I was responsible. They would not have lost that money if they had trusted me. And these men turned out to be bad people. I went to the FBI and the SEC. I helped put these men away. And lo and behold, after it was all said and done, I'm a victim in 4 jurisdictions. I've helped put 5 guys away where they should be. And yet, all of a sudden, the government turns on me. And they came after me. And it was very hard to deal with, because I didn't know. I know in my heart, and everybody knows me knows that I didn't steal these people's money. I didn't do any of these things. But you can't fight the government. So after years of fighting this, after seeing the toll it was taking on my wife and family, what it was doing to us, an idea was floated for me to take a plea agreement. I didn't want to do it because I was going to have to admit to doing something I didn't do. I even remember coming and counseling with Jack and asking him, man, I had a hard time doing this because I'm going to have to lie about it. But anyway, after being exhausted mentally, physically, and financially, we took it because the prosecutor floated the idea that she was not going to oppose probation. A year later, we go to a hearing, sentencing hearing. There's 25 people at the hearing there for me, to support me, even some of the so-called victims who did not believe they were victims. But the prosecutor came up to us before the hearing and said she had to oppose probation. This was a shock. Well, got in there, even the judge said good things about me, even talking about me being a victim. But because she opposed probation, didn't have any choice, and he sentenced me to a year and a day in federal prison. We were totally shocked by all this. And I walked out, I was holding up pretty good, and these 25 people that were there were all out in the lobby, my family, my wife, my friends, business partners, and they were all just distraught. My best friend for 30 years was crying. I'd never seen him shed a tear. He was inconsolable. And I remember asking God, please give me the words to speak to these people that might give them some comfort. And it came to me. And he said, it's okay. Don't cry for me. The Lord is opening a door. There's someone on the other side of that door that needs my help. And I really believe that. But I got to tell you, I really had a lot of fear too, because I just did not know what was going to happen. Lo and behold, we come back from the sentencing. I go into the broker that I work for, a large real estate company here. She was devastated. She said, don't worry about it. We're going to surround you with love. They had hired me and Nancy and built me up. They hired me after I was indicted. They helped me get my real estate license. But then the next day they called us in and fired Nancy and I. And I still to this day don't know why. But they abandoned us at the time that my wife and family were going to need the most. I had 19 million in listings and 7 million in closings, and lo and behold, they were going to take those. It was hard. Well, I tried to hide my fear as best I could from my family. I wanted to be strong for them, but God had other plans, and He had to deal with me, and I can tell you about that. But then my oldest two sons, Brady and Daniel, they kept reminding me because they knew I was afraid. And they said, Dad, we faced worse than this as a family. Remember Mama? And what he was talking about was Nancy's fight for life. In 2003, she was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. After months and months of different treatments and procedures, it just kept coming back. Finally, the doctors talked to me privately and said, we can't stop this. You need to prepare yourself and maybe prepare for what's going to come. I hid this, and I don't even know if Nancy had been told this, but I know she knew her situation was grave. And I just made a resolve that I'm going to be strong for the family. I'm going to be a leader. I'm not going to be emotional about it. And then one day, Nancy's in bed after taking some severe treatments, and she's not feeling well. And she calls me by her side, and she looked at me, and she goes, Tommy, I have a peace about me. The Lord's got this. I want to show my sons and you that I'm okay. If God calls me home, I know where I'm going. I don't want you to worry about it. Don't be afraid. Well, here I was trying to be an example to her. And what is she doing? She's being the rock in her faith, and she's being an example to me. I was convicted again. She was showing me that the perfect love of Jesus is all you've got to worry about. And not even that. He's there for you no matter what. We go on a little bit forward. I'm preparing to go to Jessup Federal Prison Camp. I had to face unfair circumstances. Mostly, I realized I had to face this fear. Before I went, Pastor Jack preached a sermon about fear. And one of the verses he referenced was, it was 1 John 4:18. There's no fear in love. The perfect love drives out fear. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. I didn't really understand that. But who is perfect love? Who has the only perfect love? It's Jesus himself. And if you don't have Jesus in your heart, you truly trust Jesus, then yeah, fear is going to overtake you. Anger is going to overtake you. All these things that the devil uses are going to overtake you. So Jack's sermon sunk in really big. If we fear, we doubt his love. Then 2 weeks before I was to surrender, Nancy and I went down to see Jackson's first sermon he was doing in a church. But I got to tell you a little sad story about Jackson. I mean, you all know him. He's an intern here and all that. But when Jackson was 7 or 8 years old, he was in Sunday school one day. And apparently, he probably doesn't want me to tell this story, but apparently his teacher was talking about loving thy neighbor. And apparently Jackson raised his hand and said, no offense here now, what if your neighbor is a Democrat? Well, Sherry, his teacher, said, she almost fell down laughing. She didn't. She held her composure. She looked at me and says, well, Jackson, yes, you have to love anybody, whether they're Democrats or whatever. So apparently a neighbor of ours had put up this Democratic political poster or something in the yard. And the bottom line is, when I got home that night, I didn't know anything about this, and I'm getting the eye from Nancy. She is all over me. Do you know what your son did? And I said, no. And she told me, and somehow it's all my fault. And I tell you right now, I had nothing to do with it. So, but Jackson's sermon, and I don't think he realized, I don't think he prepared it for me, but what he talked about was having Christ at the center of your life. And he used this little symbol during his sermon, like a camera lens. And he talked about Christ being over here and the distraction over here, but Christ needed to be right here. And that stuck with me. It stuck with me because I started having this thought, maybe Christ is not at my center. And then I also read my son Brady, my oldest son Brady's book, Heaven on the Hardwood. He wrote it in 2011 as a Father's Day gift for me, and then it got published. And in it, he talks about, he realized he wasn't worshiping God, but he was worshiping God's blessings. So between Jack's sermon on fear, Jackson's sermon on being centered, and my son reminding me about worshiping God, I started already thinking that way. On May 7th, my wife and family drove to Jessup, Georgia, to check in, self-surrender to the federal prison camp. There's no gates, no fences, not really any guards. We're getting in the car, we're getting ready to get out, and we're saying our goodbyes. And all of a sudden, I look up, and this little man is coming up the sidewalk in khakis. His name's Joe. He's an inmate. A big smile on his face. He walks up. He said, "Folks, I see you're checking in, but you're in the wrong place. You're going to have to go over there." And he was pointing to the medium security facility. It was, typical prison. Then he could tell that my family was upset. He looked at me and says, "Don't worry about him. We're going to take care of him. He's at Camp Cupcake." I had no idea what he meant, but he didn't realize at that time it made us feel really good. My wife felt at ease. I had met somebody, because my attorney had scared us to death. He says, "Don't talk to anybody. Stay to yourself. Don't ever have met. You're not going to make any friends. Do any of that." Well, here I am, already made a friend. And you can just tell by this man's countenance that he was a Christian. So I get checked in, go through some humiliation I won't go into on that. I get checked in, and they hand me my little basket of stuff, and I walk from the medium security about a half a mile back to the federal prison camp. I could have walked off if I wanted to, but I didn't. Anyway, as I check in, they don't have any beds. 150. It's supposed to house 150 people. There's 168 inmates. They give me a cot, stick me in a hallway, and I'm on what they call the beach. Joe comes up to me, gives me some snacks, talks to me, invites me that evening to a Bible study. I go, and it's him and I, just us two. And out of 168 inmates, you would think there would be a lot of white-collar people there. No, there was 25. The rest of them were mostly young men like my son's age, in their 20s and early 30s, most of them drug crimes. 2 weeks after I'm there, our first grandchild was born. Baby Emerald, daughter. My wife, after 35 years, finally got her little girl. And you'd think that would be a joyful event. I was very sad because I couldn't be there for the birth of my first grandchild. So I'm sentenced to prison. We lose our job and our income. Now our first grandchild is born, and I'm actually sad because I can't be with my family. I'm feeling like a hopeless, worthless husband and father. 3 weeks later, I know this sounds strange, but my dog dies. My loving Rocky, my boxer, most loving, smart dog you've ever met. And Nancy told me the story. He just got to where he couldn't raise his head. He had renal failure. So her and Jackson took him one Monday to the vet. And they tell the story about how they laid the mat down. And the vet and all the assistants came up, and they were sitting down and stroking the dog and talking to him and just trying to make him comfort. Nancy says he raised his head up, looked at her, as if to say, "Thank you." And he went off to sleep. I just remember asking God, how much more can I take? How much more? I fell into a deep depression. I was angry, I was resentful, and Joe, good old Joe, noticed me. He helped me tremendously. He knew something was going on with me. And I was having this hatred in my heart for this FBI agent that had turned on me, that had made up this story, that had substituted my name for the guys I put away. And Joe shared some scriptures with me. And he started talking to me about unforgiveness and hatred. And one of the things he read several of these scriptures. He said in Matthew 18, where he's asked, "How many times am I to forgive someone that sins against me?" And he replies, 70 times 7. Mark 11:25 says, "Whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone." Colossians 3:13, "Forgive each other as the Lord forgave you." Matthew 6:12, the Lord's Prayer, "We forgive our debts as we forgive those who have trespassed against us." God had me in a place now where he could deal with this. And all that I thought when I came out of that courtroom where he had someone on the other side that needed my help, that was only half of the story. God had me where he wanted me because he took away my family, my internet, my business, all the things that were important to me, they were gone. And it was like, have I got your attention now? So before I could help anybody else, God was dealing with me. And the first thing he had to deal with, besides the fear, was this hatred. One night I'm outside and I'm looking up and the stars are just gorgeous that night. And and I'm praising God and thanking God, and I'm seeing everything in God. I see a plant, I see anything, I see God's creation. And I realized that I had this hatred in me, and I knew that I could not forgive this man. But I knew to have the love of Jesus in my heart, God commanded us that we have to forgive others. And all I could do was say, Lord, I need your help. I read this scripture, Romans 8:26, where the Spirit helps us in our weakness and intercedes for us even in our prayers. Something told me right then, Lord was speaking to me, forgive him by praying for him. And I did. And after several days, I prayed for this man. Instead of thinking all these bad thoughts about him and doing bad things, I started praying for him and praying for his salvation. And you know what? Great weight was lifted off my shoulders. I realized you can't really pray for someone and mean it if you hate them. So now I had all this time to reflect on things, and he had dealt with me hate, and I really had released that. But now would I trust God with my fear? Was God really at the center of my life? And was I worshiping God, or was I worshiping God's blessings? I was writing a lot of emails and even started keeping a journal and writing a book, and poems came to me. And one day I wrote this while trying to deal with God and my fear. It's called The Thief Lying Fear. Fear is a tool used to steal your joy. It's always dark and will never be bright. It delights in delivery of pain and sorrow. It's shadows and clouds, always lacking in light. Fear is for cowards with something to hide. It leaves them hopeless and full of lies. It crushes one's spirit to a miserable mess while staring you down with its lifeless eyes. Fear can control as a mindless myth. It harasses your thoughts and foments doubt. It will harm those around you, all whom you love, while making you think there is no way out. Fear is a liar not grounded in truth. It roars like a lion while making no sound. It devours your mind slowly, not caring its toll. It delights in another sad home it is found. Fear doesn't quit. Its persistence is fierce. It fights like a panther, so sure not to lose. It knows most give in, give up, or just quit. But fear cannot win if God's love we all choose. The key is, as Nancy said, she thought she was going to pass, is that God's perfect love that overcomes fear. Life at Jessup became Bible studies and prayer circles, and our little group of 2 grew to 6, grew to 18, and grew to 30, and it grew to 40, and it was amazing how God used it. And Nancy was so devoted, she kept coming up every weekend. She'd drive 3 hours to Jessup on Saturday, 3 hours back, and on Sunday, 3 hours up there, 3 hours back. I was getting cards, letters, I was getting emails, these little cards, the M for Christ cards that you guys sign. I'm going to tell you something. If you don't think that's important, please keep doing it. I kept getting those, and they were so encouraging, and I'll never forget them. And thank you so much. You helped me so much. Sadly, out of 160 inmates on weekend visits, maybe 15 of us had visitors. I was one of the only ones that had them every weekend. The boys would come, friends would come, people from the church came. You know, Ben and Tyler, one of the things that I loved about them is they stepped up and were men of the house. They assured me they were going to take care of their mama, and they did. They moved into the house with her. They took care of her. They helped her. They were there for her. So it helped me a whole lot. So for 2 months, though, God got my attention. But I got to tell you, Nancy was our little contraband queen. She was the camp supplier of peanut M&Ms. And she had to sneak them in, but it was funny. So, I mean, it's kind of nice being married to a little criminal. Anyway, God got my attention, and the Bible came to life for me. I mean, I started reading Scripture, and it was like, how in the world? I've read that 1,000 times, and it never dawned on me what it was saying to me, because my heart was changing. My focus was now not on all these side things, but it was on Christ, and His Spirit was speaking to me. And one of the things that was good but was bad is I teared up all the time. And you can see today, I'll do it too. I started crying. Before I'd been crying out of sadness and loneliness and loss. Now I was crying out of joy because I'd read scriptures or something and I'd tear up, and Job would see it. He'd run to me, what's wrong? And I'd tell him, and he'd go, good grief. It's not good to cry in prison. These guys look at you and they go, and I'm one of the biggest guys in there. I'm one of the oldest. I'm definitely the tallest, and that didn't hurt, so I had some respect. But you know, they have these tough guy names in prison. We had guys in there named Big Dog, Mad Dog, Worm, Tank, Mud, Dirt. We even had an ex-mafia guy named Catman. And he was Joe, Catman Joe, and he took care of the 50 cats that he fed them around there. So I thought, you know what, my nickname from high school is Stony. They're going to like that because I'm stony. You know, I don't show emotion. You don't see me. I'm not mad, happy, sad, or glad when I play basketball. I kind of floated that idea. Old Joe had nothing. No. Your name is Weepy. So my nickname was Weepy. Now that's a real tough name. But anyway, I had rediscovered what's called the treasure within. I don't think I'd ever read that scripture and fully understood what that meant. But in 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 10, and 17 and 18, God tells us, Paul tells us we have this treasure in jars of clay. Some verses say wood, earthen vessels, to show that this all-surpassing power is from God, not from us. We're hard-pressed on every side, not crushed, perplexed, not in despair, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down, not destroyed. We carry around in our body the death of Jesus, for our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. And this key to me was we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen, because what is seen is temporary, but what is seen is eternal. Man, did that sink into me. I was focused mostly on the temporary things. Success in business. My family was ahead. Everything was ahead of God. God was in my life, but He wasn't at the center of it. I knew that I accepted Christ when I was 9 years old. I'd done a lot of good things. I'd even led people to Christ. But I did not have Christ at the center of my life. So God put me where He needed to be. Again, first I deal with my fear, hatred, my relationship with Him, and now I had found this treasure. I had refound the treasure of the joy of Christ in my heart. A few days later, loudspeaker, Hammond, come to the CO's office. CO is they don't like to be called guards. They're officers. So the CO calls me and says, hey, pack up your stuff. You're out of here. I'm all excited. It's only been 2 months. They're letting me out early, which they could do if they wanted to. Oh, no, you've been called. You've caught another case in Colorado. Well, to an inmate, when they tell you you've caught another case, the federal government's brought another case against me. And I'm going, how can this be? I took a plea. Everything was settled. No. And he could tell I was very upset. So he pulls me into his little office, which they never do. And yes, I was weepy. I was crying. Well, he calls in the case manager, Mr. Corson, who was a good Christian man, who actually, him and I had a good relationship. Mr. Corson comes in, sits down, he puts his hand on me, he says, Tommy. And they never call you by your first name. He called me Tommy. They normally would call me Hammond. He says, calm down. You haven't caught another case. You have been called as a primary defense witness for another Mr. Coddington. And I looked at him and I said, you can't be serious. Coddington? Denver, Colorado? Mr. Coddington was the one that ultimately stole $17 million from me and my group and all these CMOs and everything that I had. And all of my projects got lost. How could I be a witness for him? I don't know, but you got to be there. The trial's only a week. When I went out and started packing my stuff, everybody come running around me, and I could tell by their faces something was wrong. They knew something I didn't know. And what they knew was the transportation system of inmates within the federal prison system is awful. And I was about to find out. That Friday, I go, 3 o'clock in the morning, they take me over to the meeting security. I'm put in a jumpsuit. I'm handcuffed, shackled, and put on a bus sent to Tallahassee Transfer Center. I'm in there with everybody you can imagine. I'm there for 3 nights. They take me out 3 o'clock in the morning, take me to an airport, fly me in a private jet to Denver. I'm thinking, well, this isn't so bad. I mean, the handcuffs I didn't like and all that. I've never been in them before. I look up and there's 2 federal marshals, there's 2 security guards, and 2 pilots for me. And I looked over at the federal marshal and I said, why didn't y'all just call my wife and give us a furlough and she would have brought me out here? I'm coming from a camp and I should have known right then something was wrong, because he looked at me and he goes, like I was from a camp. Comes over and hooks my handcuffs. I I didn't know any better. Sure enough, we fly into Denver, Colorado to Inglewood. I'm put on a bus taken there to check in on July 3rd last year. Nobody was there. They'd all gone home except for the skeleton crew, so they couldn't check me in. They put me in this holding cell, which is 6x6 with a toilet and a concrete bench. I'm in there for 8 hours. Finally, I didn't know what to do. I come up, I bang on the door. The CO comes over, he looks in there, and he had this surprised look like he didn't know I was in there. He puts his hand up on the mirror like we're in solidarity. I'll be right back. An hour and a half later, he comes back. Lieutenant from the max security SHU comes in, puts me in handcuffs, takes me to the SHU. The SHU is a special handling unit. You've heard of the hole. Well, this is what this is. And apparently, Inglewood's SHU is one of the worst in the country. It's built in 1935. It's a dungeon. It has no air conditioning, no ventilation. It's made for one. There's 2 bunks in each, even though it's made for one. In order to use the toilet, I'd have to get up in the night with the guy who was in there with me and fold my mattress off the toilet so he could go to the bathroom while I stood at the door. Then I'd fold it back up. That's the kind of conditions we were in. It was 96 degrees, no air conditioning. Fortunately, I was only there for one night. The next day, I'm checked in. It took all of 5 minutes to check me in. Yet I'd gone through all that mess. They put me in the Federal Detention Center, maximum security, locked down 23 out of 24 hours. I'm in there with rapists, murderers, gang members you could not believe. I'm there for maybe 5 minutes, and I'm just afraid. But I went and checked my email. I was able to get out, and my email was up. So I send this horrible, scary email out because when I had gotten there, I wasn't there 5 minutes, and in walks this guy, forces his way into my room. Now, they're putting me in a cell by myself. Everybody else is in there by 2. I found out later it was by design. Guy comes in, stands there, closes the door, he puts a sentinel, another inmate at the door. He's a little guy, but he's got all these, swastikas and stuff on him, skinhead. He looks at me and he goes, I've got the keys to the car, and I hold the shock collar. I want to see your papers. I got to make sure you're not a chomo. I had no clue any of this, what he's talking about. All I've been told by my attorney is he didn't know why I was coming out there. He thought this was a ruse to get me out there and not to share anything with anybody. So I knew he wasn't supposed to be in there. So what I decided to do is I'm going to treat this guy like a bully. Because when I was a kid, I stood up to bullies. And I said, look, you're not supposed to be in here. I want you to leave. Not until you give me your papers and see what you're here for. I said, look, I'm not showing you anything. And if you don't get out of here, I'm fixing to throw you out of here. And if you don't think I can do it, I can. He just kind of, he didn't know what to do. And he said, why are you staying right where you are? You're not allowed to leave your room. Don't even come to dinner. I said, look, I'm going to be down there when they call chat. I'm sitting at that table right there. If you don't like it, come see me. Well, I was scared to death. I'm being a tough guy. I'm scared to death. But, I really would have thrown him out. He runs off. Sure enough, later that evening, I sent this email and I scared Nancy and the kids. I said, y'all got to get me out of here. I, for the first time in my life, was afraid for my life. Anyway, I'm sitting there eating dinner. I look up and here comes this guy named Bob. He walks over to me and I'm looking at him. He's another, you can tell he's a student. I looked out, put my hand up. I said, look, I don't want any trouble from you. And he goes, wait a minute. I just wanted to tell you what happened. John came running back and he said, that old man's crazy. He was going to kick my butt. So he said, whatever you said worked. But after I wrote that scary email, I went back that night and checked my emails again. Well, my sister Nancy had responded to me. Now, my wife had responded, and my son, and they were trying to get me out, get me over to the camp where I was supposed to be. But my sister Nancy said something to me, and I still to this day haven't forgotten it. She said, Tommy, calm down. Just remember, those are broken men. They need you. They have the image of Christ in them. Show it to them. Wow. I was convicted again. Old Bob and I laughed after a while, and I had my papers brought in, and I showed him. A chomo is a child molester. And apparently child molesters are not well thought of in prison, and most of them are older guys. And they wanted to make sure I looked a stitch and all this kind of stuff. A shock collar is that he controls the protection part of this. The car, which I talk about, is there's 4 cars in this prison. There's 2 Latino, 1 black, 1 white. He controlled the white car. It's a gang, but you better be part of one because they protect you. Okay, so I went along with it. I wasn't exactly happy with it, but I showed them the papers, and everything was fine after that. Well, 2 weeks later, I bought the nachos for the white supremacist nacho bar. I did not become a white supremacist. She was scared to death. I didn't shave my head. I don't have tattoos or anything like that. But at any rate, it was different because I was in there, and this gang stuff was real. I never went outside. I was there for 56 days. Never once went outside because there was always stabbings, there was fights. It was awful. But I got to tell you, I was missing my freedom. I was missing my family. I started writing again. And I started writing poems, and I started sending out emails, and I even sent emails to some of y'all, and I know y'all read some of them. But one of the poems I wrote was "Freedom is with me," and it goes like this: the largest ache within is freedom gone. The worst is when I fear I'm all alone. I sit and stare and ask, God, why is this so? What plans are yours? Those are very hard to show. The voice within me whispers in words just two. I'm here. And adds, I've never once left you. You're always loved and always will be free. Just remember, son, your freedom is with me. I remembered my constant comforting verses that Joe and I had shared, and that was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And we fix our eyes in Corinthians not on what is seen, but what is unseen, because what is unseen is eternal. Again, every day there was something going on. I was in there with a lot of bad people, but I kept remembering what my sister had said. These men have the image of Christ, and I started to look at them not so much as bad people, but that the vast majority of them were my son's age, 20s, 30s. And I just started, over the next 6 or 7 weeks, speaking little words of encouragement. I went to a room and had a little bicycle, and guys would come in there and talk to me. Soon I was hot. I was the oldest guy in there, and I had guys coming to me. I had over 38 direct encounters with different men in that place, and I was able to plant some seeds. You know, one of the common themes that were with all of them is they had no dad, no family unit. They'd gotten out on the street when they were 9 or 10 years old. Drug guys or gang guys had come to them. They would be runners for them, and they just grew up in that culture. And they didn't know how to act as men or husbands or fathers. And so I had all these encounters, and I could sit up here for hours and tell you about some wonderful stories about some really bad people and how things have changed. But I'm only going to share a couple of them today. And the first one was one of the most profound. I was in there by myself, as I said, and one night I hear the door open, and in comes this young guy. They kind of throw him in there. He climbs up on the top bunk, throws his stuff up there, and he crawls under his covers, and next thing I know, I hear all this moaning and crying and writhing and screaming and hollering, and he's a drug addict, a heroin addict, and he's in withdrawal. About 3 in the morning, I get up and I take his stuff, and he had kicked it all off on the floor, and I put it in the locker. I go get a wet towel, and I start mopping his brow. He was semi-conscious. This went on for 2 nights. Anyway, after a couple of nights, he finally gets up, goes, takes a shower, comes down to eat, and we had a chance to start talking. And I asked him, I just started asking him to talk about himself. And it turns out he was a very highly recruited high school golfer out of Georgia. Had won a national championship, had gone to his 4-year school and was doing really well. His junior year, he went home for Christmas, and he broke his wrist in a fight with his brother. Ended his career. He got hooked on opioids. He got estranged from his mother and father. He hated his dad. His dad had left him, and he had this hatred for him. And he said, you know, when I left, I had my girlfriend, and she didn't do drugs and didn't do anything, but we decided to move to Colorado because of the new marijuana laws. You know, we can get marijuana and do what we want. He says, next thing I know, we're hooked on this higher stuff, and he's upset. He says, I've got my girlfriend hooked on it now, and now she doesn't know what to do. They picked me up on distribution, and I have never sold drugs in my life. He cried. I told him, I shared with me about how hatred was going to eat him up and we needed to deal with that with his dad. And I told him my story about the hatred for the FBI agent and how that agent had lied and twisted everything to put a feather in his cap and a trophy on the wall, but that I had forgiven him. Next thing I know, he's telling me how he was raised as a Christian, but he just really didn't know God, and he knew God was disappointed in him. And he said he wanted to do better. And this is like 2:30 in the morning. we're down on the floor of the cell and we're praying. And we're praying for his restoration. We're praying for his soul. An hour later, they come and get him. He didn't know this. They took him to a bail hearing. They didn't think he was going to be bailed out. He never came back. I never saw him again. You talk about God's perfect timing. It was the only window I had to have a chance to even talk to this man, this young man. And I just looked at him as if he has the image of Christ. He's like one of my sons. He needs some help. Sure enough, my attorney was right. It was a ruse. I never got called to the court. Never. They thought that they could call me as the primary witness, and because it was so close to the trial, they wouldn't be able to get me there in time. That's why they had the private jet and got me there. So I was used as a pawn. 2 weeks after the trial, I'm still there at this detention center. One day, a female CO comes in and says, "Mr. Hammond, I just found out you came from a camp." I go, "Yes, ma'am. I told y'all that at the beginning. Y'all told me you were going to fix it." "Well, my goodness, you're supposed to be over there on the other side of the campus at the camp." She goes, "You want me to transfer you?" And I went there and said, "Well, ma'am, I've been here 56 days." And I said, "I haven't been called. Can you tell me when I'm going to go home?" Which home at that time was Jessup. She goes, "I can't tell you that for security reasons." Well, about midnight that night, I hear the clanging of the lock on the door. And she sticks her head in. "Mr. Hammond, are you awake?" I said, "Yes." She says, You're leaving Friday." Well, this was a Wednesday. I told her, I said, "I'm okay. I'm Papa. I'm not in any danger. Let's just leave it like it is. I don't want to go through more strip searches and more mess just to get transferred." So that Friday we leave, and I'm hooked up again and put in the handcuffs and the leg cuffs, and go on a bus, and we drive from Denver, Colorado to Pueblo. This time, we pull out onto this tarmac. The 737 pulls in. This is the real Con Air. I'm about to experience the real thing. And I'm looking up, and bus after bus is coming. And these guys are getting out. Let me tell you something. You talk about scary-looking guys. Every one of them had special handcuffs with a black box and special leg cuffs. They couldn't hardly move. I'm the only one with these loose handcuffs. I'm the only camper there. I'm thinking, surely they're not going to put me on the plane in the middle of that. So there was 3 women also. I said, "Let me sit with the women." And no, they put me in the back on the aisle. There are Crips over here, Bloods over here, Latin Kings, Pisces, and the rows behind me were reserved. There's nobody there. Well, I was about to find out who that was going to be in a short minute. Got all these gangs. There's all this screaming and hollering and hatred and fussing, and they're wanting to get at each other. The guards are having to separate them. It's awful. And I'm sitting there, and there's a guy right beside me. Guess what? He's got a swastika on his neck and a skinhead. All this is going on. So we fly from Pueblo to El Paso, and guess who we pick up there? The seats behind me, MS-13, cartel and gang members. Scary is not the word to say. These guys, there's several of them come in with black hoods pulled over their heads. They're so bad. They come in there, guys are trying to trip them, the guards are just all over them. It's horrible. Finally, the guy sitting next to me leans over and he goes, "You know what, ignore them, they don't have the brains to know how to behave." When I look at him, I can tell he's a supremacist, and I'm thinking, boy, is that a racist statement or what? Finally, he reaches over with his hard handcuffs, tries to shake my hand, he says, "My name's Josh Bodine." And I said, "Well, nice to meet you, I'm Tommy Hammond." And he looked kind of puzzled. He says, "You don't know who I am?" And I go, "No, I guess his name is supposed to mean something to me." He goes, "Well, I am the general second in command of the Aryan Brotherhood. I have been since I was 19 years old. I've been in and out of prison 20 years. And he goes, "I'm surprised you never heard of me." I told him, no, I didn't know him. And he asked me a little bit about my story. I told him about my story being called as a witness. And then he goes, "Well, you're a Christian then, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, God used me in ways I never thought he would. I was able to help these young men and plant little seeds of hope in them." And he goes, "Well, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. And I really want to do better. I'm trying to get out so I can be there for my wife and kids." And then I said, "You know, at the risk of offending you, I got to ask you a question. You know, do you know who Christ is?" He goes, "Oh, I know the Bible really well." He didn't notice how he answered that. And he did. This man quoted the Bible like you wouldn't believe. He knew Scripture backwards. Before we start about, especially the Old Testament, we talk a lot about the Old Testament. And then he said, I'm just not worthy. I have let God down." He started talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and this. And finally I said, "Josh, I got to ask you something. How do you reconcile being the leader of the hate group with bigotry, hey, how you hate other people. He goes, wait a minute, Tommy, I don't hate anyone. We don't hate anyone. He goes, but I'm going to tell you something. Jesus taught us there's an eye for an eye. Read it in Leviticus. He goes, if somebody hurts a white person, we're going to take care of that. Just like they're going to take care of their race, we're going to take care of ours. And I looked there, this was my opening. I said, wait a minute, Josh. You're speaking of Levitical things and harsh laws because Israel was in disobedience. And I said, God changed all that when Jesus came. And what does Jesus teach us? Not eye for an eye. Turn the other cheek. A man steals your cloak, give him your tunic. Love your brother. Love your enemy. And then he finally says, well, it doesn't matter. I'm unredeemable. And I thought, what do you mean you're unredeemable? He said, well, them old seven deadlies, murder and all that. And I knew right then he had been involved in some pretty bad stuff. I looked at him and I said, Josh, you know what? You know the Bible, you say, but you don't know anything. I said, Jesus forgave you, forgives us. There is no sin that is unforgivable except one. And Jesus tells us ourselves what that is. That's blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, rejection of Christ, rejection of the Holy Spirit. He looked at me with a surprised look. I said, well, you can't accept Christ into your heart and say you love him and then keep on sinning and deliberately doing the same things. But believe me, God forgives you. All this yelling and screaming and all this stuff that had been going on and fighting, and all of a sudden Josh and I both realized, I looked up. It was quiet. For 5 or 6 rows around me, these men that were hating each other, wanting to kill each other, were looking at me and hanging on every word, even some of the CEOs. I'm sorry, I get emotional about this because every time I see this, I see these faces. Some of them were crying. Josh himself had tears in his eyes. And the one guy that I remember the most was a little guy sitting beside Josh. He was a mixed race with blue eyes. He had tears streaming out his face. And I don't know if they had ever heard this message before, but God had put me there for that reason. And I know it. And I don't know that they ever heard that message or ever hear it again. But he used me at a critical time in a critical place. And if he can use me, a broken man, in a dark place like that, he can use you or anyone, anywhere. I saw hope in those eyes. I had scattered some seeds. That's all I know. In Matthew 13:3-9, he talks about the parable of the seeds. And some fell along the path and birds ate it up. Plants were scorched. Some fell on rocky places. Whoever has ears, let them hear. But the one that speaks to me the most, other seeds fell among thorns and grew up and choked the plants. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word and make it unfruitful. That was the key verse to me. Deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. The thorns and weeds and distractions of life had prevented me from understanding the treasure within, the joy in Christ. And I had been letting business, my family, be ahead of God for a long, long time. But now God had shown me the truth. He had put me in a dramatic way, in a desperate place, in a place of emptiness that turned to joy, of hopelessness to hope. And I was a seeder. I was a farmer. I got back home to Jessup, and I was a little bit frazzled. I'd lost 50 pounds, but I got right back in the routine. I was supposed to go home in the next month or two, and that got delayed for 4 months. But I got right back with a more vigor, teaching Sundays, teaching Bible studies and everything, and I actually started teaching a class on real estate and construction. And it took a while, but I finally got out. I got to the halfway house, and I was able to work. Nancy, devoted as she was, my family, they kept coming. And everything is good. Except I get out. And what happens? Here comes the world. Here comes the distractions. One of the first things that happened is the old real estate company that had let us go and had taken some of my listings and my closings. They paid us on some of them. But the one that I'd worked on for 2.5 years, they were going to pay me. I had to get an attorney to get a man letter. And long story short, fighting, and still had a fight going on. They don't want to pay me. They ultimately didn't pay me. Paid me 30 cents on the dollar. And I've had all these people come to me, oh, you got to sue them, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I've been really going down that path. I was going to do it. And then finally, Nancy and I just talked the other day, and I said, you know what? I'm going to ask God, what does He want us to do? And it's been speaking to me that, you know what, we need to let it go. This is a distraction. This is the weeds. This is the thorns. This is a foothold the devil wants. He wants to steal your joy again. I'm not going to get hung up in this. So we've decided, if they're going to not do what's right, we're going to be okay, we should move on. And that's what we're going to do. And I really want to be a light for Christ. Matthew records in chapter 5, verse 14 through 16, you are the light of the world. Don't hide it under a shade. Put it on a stand. Let everyone see it. And that's my intent. And if you keep hearing this, you'll see when Jesus wanted to emphasize something, He would say, whoever has ears, let him hear. I had ears. I never really heard. But I hear Him now. And if you'll pray for me, please, to help me stay focused and to understand that there is this joy within me, and He's at the center of my life, and not to worship God's blessings, but to worship God. And I won't get lost in those thorns and weeds again. Because God has a purpose for me. But also God has a purpose for you. And you know, we're many things. I am many things. I wrote this poem about it. I'm His sheep, and He gave me a choice to love the world or to follow His voice. I'm the light of the world if I let it so shine, not hiding my faith, always sharing what's mine. I'm a jar of clay cracked and scarred within, holding the treasure of Jesus, forgiven of sin. I'm the salt of the earth, not losing its savor. With the knowledge of Christ, highly blessed with His favor. I'm a branch, yes, part of the grapevine, pruned to bear fruit, to share the new wine. I'm but a spring purified by the sun, flowing in living water, to share with everyone. I am restored. I'm not perfect. I'm failing. I've had failure since I got out. But what about you? Is God really at the center of your life? If you've got something in your life that's a problem, do you hate someone? Do you have something between you and a family member? Do you have something that's keeping you from experiencing the joy of Christ? Do you keep your love of the Lord to yourself, or are you a light that draws people to Christ? I know one thing, Jesus is there for you even when you're not there for Him. He loves you, He'll never forsake you. I am a living example of He did not abandon me. He was there for me in the worst of times. Put Christ at the center of your life. Put Him first in all you do. He'll bless you beyond belief. Love has a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. God bless you all.